that British one sound better than the English one?
It's only accented, that's all.
You get better DX though with the British ones.
Okay, I want to welcome everyone to the October 10th, 2025 meeting of the New Jersey Antique Radio Club here at Princeton University, Moen Hall. I don't think we have any new faces in the auditorium. Nope. Just a lot of old faces, but that's to be expected. Okay, no problem. Nice to see you, Vern. Nice to see you. All right, infirmary report. I don't have anything right now. We have a call out to Lisa for a status report on Sal. Otherwise, I just don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything to do with a infirmary report? All right, I will read this. Just to let you know, Jan Graves' remembrance will be held on November 2nd at 10:30 a.m. in the Nakabixon State Park. That's in Quakertown, PA. And after that, it'll be a lunch at the Capri Restaurant in Plumsteadville, PA. Now, I'll send that out. I have a regular flyer when we get closer to it, since it is about a month away.
Which, by the way, that was Jan's favorite restaurant. That's why we're doing it.
And that's why?
Jan and Pete love to go to the trivia.
Okay, great. Good to hear. All right, let me move along then. All right, old business. I hope you read your Jersey Broadcaster this week. How many read their Jersey Broadcaster this week? Oh, wait a minute, I wrote it. I usually would. All right, it's important because there's stuff in there that we need to know for the coming meeting and coming events too. And a lot of work goes into it. Dave Sika, me, Matt, and well, I think Fred wrote an article this week too, which is nice.
That was cool.
Yeah, yeah. More people, we would love to have more people write for us. We'd love it, you know, we share it. All right. All right, I did a short review of my experiences of being just a Friday vendor with the new rules and setup time being 8 a.m. and open to the public at 10 a.m. at Kutztown. Bob Bennett, AKA Radio Wild, was there, so don't miss his video, please. So I shared my views with the powers to be at K-Town. Again, to me, it's a farce in the sense that we set up at 8 o'clock in the morning, whereas it used to be a setup whenever we got there. I'm a one-day vendor. There are a lot of one-day vendors too, and it cuts into the selling time. And then, so from, let's say you set up at 8 o'clock, all right, so let's say you're done by 8:30. Well, guess what? Then you have to wait till 10 o'clock for the buyers to come in. It doesn't make much sense. So I let them know, you know, for my 2.5 cents. And of course, I also talked to Delaware Valley President, Mr. Brown. So see what happens. Yeah, and not only that, you know, we drive there from all over, from states in the South to get there early, and then you're all set up, and then you're all just in rows of cars. You could be there from 5 a.m. just sitting in your car. You know, what's the point? The Thursday thing, I'm not going to get into that. I know all about that. We know all about that by now. If Dave Snellman was here, he could talk about it, but I'm sure Dave's up at AWA. All right. Any other comments other than I have about that? Darren, you have a comment about that?
Very simply, I mean, the Thursday was nice, but the bottom line is it's all about numbers.
Yeah.
And, you know, Renninger's is a business.
Of course.
And for them to continue the Thursday, we looked at the numbers. It staggered to the point where it would be an increase in the cost of the space beyond what most people would be willing to pay. Mm-hmm. So that's the real reason, is a dollars and cents issue. And other than that, I found that was a fair amount of traffic on Friday and Saturday. People did stay a little later on Saturday.
Did they? Yeah, that was my
Not
next
tremen- I mean,
question.
It wasn't tremendous, but there were some.
Yeah.
You know, we've gotten a lot of, I'm not gonna say a lot, but we've had people say they want the auction on Saturday, and those of us who have been around long enough know how that ends, that's not gonna happen.
Right.
It's not beneficial for anyone.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go home at that point.
We experienced it years ago, over 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
like you said, it didn't
The
work
auction
out.
was packed as usual, and, you know, it was a track, it was as good as the meat, and the meat was good. I'll say it was a little light, maybe a few fewer vendors. One of the things that aggravates a lot of us is that you'll notice in the second pavilion, there's a lot of empty tables. And those tables are sold to vendors. But there is that old thing about a vendor buying a table to get in early.
I know.
And that's what that's about.
You know that for a fact?
Oh, yeah.
No, so they got to put a stop to that.
We discussed it, there's no good way to stop it without impacting other, everything you do affects something else. So
Yeah.
you gotta be careful with what you do, so.
No, we had that. We had that at PAL, and I put a stop to that. But I was tighter. You know, it was tighter vendors
It's a
there.
little different situation,
Yeah.
you know. It's a lot harder with a bigger, more open meet like that to stop that.
All right.
Other than that, I don't know, I think everybody was pretty happy.
All right. So like when Dave Snellman says, "Oh, it's sold out show," money-wise, it is sold out, but people are not sure. There was a lot of tables vacant,
Yeah, and all of them were sold.
and all of them were sold.
And the weather was so much nicer than it
Weather
was
was
in the
wonderful.
spring.
Fantastic, fantastic.
Oh, man, it was just so nice to climb in my car and pack everything up and not being a wet rat.
Yeah, yeah. But you're saying that Saturday was okay, or it wasn't okay?
Saturday was okay.
Bobby, you there
I
Saturday?
did okay on Saturday.
But how? When were people leaving? Were people leaving at mid?
I exceeded my Saturday expectations.
Yeah, mine
But-
too.
And I stayed a little bit later. I stayed till like about 2:30, and that's when I packed everything up and left.
I think because of the lack of Thursday, it is bringing the Saturday a little later and a few more people on Saturday.
Okay,
you know,
all right.
sometime.
Well, that's great for Reningers then,
I
too.
think what it comes down to is I look at sales, I don't think we did any worse when we had the Thursday versus weekends. I think it's, yeah.
All right, great, good. Thanks for the feedback. Okay. All right, last Saturday evening, I attended with other club members the annual Wall of Honor dinner in the Marconi Hotel dining room. It was a special occasion for our RTM curator, Ray Chase, who received the Patriots Award for all the work he was done over the years for InfoAge and the Radio Technology Museum. Could we have a little round of applause for Ray Chase? Of course, this was a milestone award. And Ray, was it really your birthday last Saturday?
Yes.
It actually was that day. That was amazing. I mean, I know it was in October. I know it's around this time of year, but it was that day. That was spectacular. Yeah.
It was just a chance that they picked that date.
All right, you didn't schedule the Wall of Honor dinner for that date, did you? No. Okay. All right. Okay. Any other old business? Hi, Bob. Anybody else have any old business? No? All right, on to new business. Before you know it, our Fall Hamfest Swap Meet Show will be here, and it will be November 22nd at Parsippany PAL. I've already gotten reservations from a lot of hams who I don't know, which is always good. And, you know, please start sending me emails. I'm not very good with the vocal of saying, oh, put me in for a table, Rich, because if I don't see it written down in my email, it's like, oh, okay. So please send me an email. It's a lot easier that
You're
way.
at the age now where everybody can't remember what they had for breakfast.
What's that?
Can't hear either.
Yeah. Okay. All right, in 2 weeks, Saturday, October 25th, we'll have our fall repair clinic at InfoAge Room 9032A. Experts, how many experts will we have? It's in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. All right, good, good, good. Okay, very good. All right. All right. All right, I'll put out a notice on the communicator this week, letting people know that they can start calling in to me. So, yes.
Make a comment. It turns out that on the morning of the 25th, from 9:30 till noon, we also have a fairly large and a good school group back for their 4th visit. So the museum is going to be busy that morning.
Okay.
That's all I can say, but people who can work in the museum may be working in the museum.
Museum will be opening at what time? 12?
The kids are coming at 9:30.
Oh, this is a special
They're
in.
coming at 9, they'll show up at the museum at 9:30, yeah.
And they would stay how long?
Till noon. There are 50 of them, and there will be, I think, 4 groups of a dozen apiece. So we rotate.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, my point is that the museum will be busy.
All right, but
And-
my,
and of course,
well, like one of my
anybody
experts
can
being
comment
John,
about-
would be JR, so John Ruccolo. We need him as an expert.
Right. And it would be nice if he were in the museum, but, you know, we're going to do what we can to get people.
bidding war.
Okay. We'll work it out, right?
Unfortunately, these are independent events, so, you know, that and our clinic, so.
Yeah, and then the museum will be open at noontime anyway, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, we'll work it out, okay. So that my next, all right, fine. So RTM dosing coverage this month, I see you were hassling as best you could people to make a date that they could come in and be docents.
Right. This weekend, Sunday, and we may be prevented from doing that, who knows, and the 25th.
Okay, yeah, it's supposed to be poor weather this Sunday, right?
Yeah, it certainly is.
A nor'easter coming in early.
We'll see how it pans out.
Just bring the docents in that aren't experts. So prepared.
Mary, I just sent you something on Sunday.
All right, good. Okay. All right, so who's attending the AWA Antique Wireless Association's convention this week? Nobody here. Why? Because you're up there now.
Bill and Dave are up there.
And John Stoll also,
John Stoll.
yeah. Yeah, John Comer he doesn't think he'll be going there anymore, so. But I asked Bill to take lots of pics and to give us a little report next time. And I know in the past, I guess it was more with John Comer, that they would get together and do a little Zoom like last Thursday night, but that didn't happen from up there. Yeah. Ray, is that it for you for AWA? You won't be going to AWA anymore?
No, I had to bow out because I'm having a lot of work done at home.
So you would have gone anyway then?
I signed up, but then I had to renege.
Okay.
And if I was there now, I'd be having a very nice dinner along with the rest of the guys.
Well, I got brownies out there. Is that good enough?
Brownies, chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, and thank you, Sharon, for the chocolate chip cookies too.
Probably watching right now, so you can just look right in the camera.
Okay, they're all gone, Sharon. Yeah, which is a problem. You got to make more. What can I tell you? Okay. All right. So we'll get a report from AWA next meeting then. Okay. Okay. All right. I want to thank the latest member of the team, NJARC, Matt Reynolds, who has single-handedly scanned and digitized most of our previous meetings and is now reissuing them on what could be Look Back Thursday. What's that, throwback?
Throwback.
Throwback, all right. You don't like Look Back Thursday, you want throwback? Well, you're in charge of it, so it could be whatever you want it to be. A lot of fun, guys. I mean, it's fun for us longtime members, and it's fun for the new members, too, because you're going to see things and hear things. I mean, it's not just a report, it is a tech session with some smart people giving some smart answers to a lot of questions that we still are asking. There was one in particular that former President Phil Vortzis did, and we were at Sarnoff, all right, down the street there. And he was talking about, his favorite thing, the 45 players, and talking about 45s in general, and how the labels are stacked so that they didn't, the grooves weren't touching each other. Gee, that's a great video.
That was an amazing presentation. I enjoyed it.
Wasn't that?
thoroughly.
Yeah. And I'm looking at it, this is great. Boy, I'm learning a lot from that. And then I'm thinking, how the hell did I miss this presentation? I don't really miss meetings. I mean, once or twice I missed a meeting. And so I said, I don't know how I missed it, until all of a sudden I heard my voice asking a question to Phil.
You know, when you get old, you forget a few things.
Is that how it is? It really, Harry? I didn't know about that. Really?
It kind of fills up, it spills out the years.
So I was there, and I just don't remember. Okay. All right. Again, we got to really thank Matt for what he's stepping up and doing. It's I look forward to the Thursday, throwback. So, how many did you say you had?
How many total?
Yeah.
There's like over 100, I think.
So that's 100 Thursdays. Maybe you do Tuesdays too.
I thought about that. I was like, well, maybe I should double this up so everybody gets to see them. But yeah, I'm copying them faster than you're seeing them. I'm uploading them one at a time, but I've already backed them up from the tape. I'm about 60% of the way through. I'm almost done with all the analog tapes. I still got to do all the digital tapes.
Oh, that's right. You haven't hit them yet.
But,
Yeah. What time frame? How long does it take you to do this?
however long the presentation was, plus, I don't know, like 10 minutes to edit it, 20 minutes to export it, 10 more minutes. So I guess 1.5 times however long
Yeah.
the
Well,
presentation is.
and your learning curve, of course, you're getting better at
There
it.
was some,
Yeah.
A lot of the learning curve was making the equipment cooperate, because it's becoming antique too. So the tapes are old and finicky, so I had to get the equipment to cooperate. And
Was there any that you just said, I got to trash this?
Not yet. I mean, there's some
Wow.
where I've gotten something off of everything. There are some where tracking's bad, or when the tracking's bad, you'll see the menu come on. This is, the time codes and stuff. But
Yeah.
I've gotten something off of all the tapes.
And I think you mentioned in the past that the tapes weren't just tapes of our meetings. It could be birthday parties and
That's correct.
kiddie
They
parties.
were
And,
reused tapes, so you'll, like, if you leave it on, you might catch like the end of a movie or a television commercial between the two
yeah, that's
presentations on
yeah, in the old days when we were able to tape TV shows. Yeah.
Catch anything interesting?
No
No,
white
but
space right
so
now?
the first time it happened, there's usually about 3 programs on a tape, and I left it running before I stopped it on the computer, but I didn't stop it on the VCR, and it was just snowing, and all of a sudden I walked away, we're on my workbench, and I hear talking. I'm like, what the hell is that? Because it had the volume really low, it was just to make sure it was working, and I'm like, I get over, and it was the movie Christine, which I thought was very apt, that a machine going wild, but so I stopped it, but I thought that was funny. That's when I figured out they weren't blanked. They didn't start out as blank tapes
Yeah.
before the programs ended up on them. But
So that's going way, but well, Christine, if it was on that
that's from the 80s. But
80s.
The tapes, it was reran. It was a rerun, or
Yeah.
on HBO or something.
Okay, yeah.
The earliest tapes that supposed to have are from 1994. The earliest tapes I found are from 1995.
Okay. Does, Dave, can you remember when Phil started? Phil started it,
I
right?
could tell you.
It was 1994, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was, all right, good.
So theoretically, the way it's supposed to be is we have a digital copy of all the analog tapes, and we haven't found all those yet. But
He's got to go sort through some boxes in Redacted's basement.
yeah,
Well, there was a picture of that in the broadcaster this month, yeah.
that's
It was
right.
a very accurate.
It looked very deep and long and
Yeah.
reminded me of your basement, as a matter of fact.
It was either me or John, I'm not sure. Probably me.
So the very first one was in April of 1994, and it was about regenerative receivers, and it was presented by Mark Middleman.
Yeah.
So if I do find that tape, which I think we have the digital one of that one, it'll turn up.
Okay.
And then the last one where we actually bothered to write the list of the presentations down will be the next one that I tape, which is it's the last analog tape. It's from 2008, and it was Alex talking about Farnsworth.
Okay, did that look like, well, you don't remember Sarnoff, did it look like on a different stage?
I think that it's probably still at Sarnoff, because like everything I've done, at the end of the analog tapes are still at Sarnoff. So the last one I recorded was at Sarnoff. I did them in order, so you
Okay.
guys haven't left Sarnoff yet.
Yeah, I remember that talk, and it was at Sarnoff.
It was, okay. Did we ever do any taping of holiday parties?
Yes.
We did, yeah?
There's a couple really early ones. You didn't do all of them, but there's a couple of them.
Yeah, I don't, that's another one I don't remember, but I was there.
The best one, again, so my favorite one I haven't released to you guys yet, but I wanted to make sure it was okay with Alex and stuff. It was when you guys first got to go there, when you first started having meetings there, when you first got into the museum and you guys got to see it, you know, and that was at a holiday party. So you guys recorded the entire stealing presents stuff, and then
Oh, that's
after that,
vaguely
when it was
familiar,
meeting.
yeah, okay,
And that
great.
one was one of the ones where I was, again, usually when I'm doing this, I'm listening to it, I'm watching it and dicking around with what workbench, TVs or radios or whatever.
That was when the
That-
party was in the library, right?
Yes.
By the
Yeah.
fireplace?
It wasn't in the library, that was a later
Oh, yeah.
one,
Oh.
but I actually stopped whatever I was doing and just sat there and watched it, because it was really cool to see all that
Yeah.
stuff, because I didn't get to go, that was before my time.
Sure, sure.
Just to see the,
And you get to make fun of all the people you see with dark hair and yeah.
it's fun to hear the voices and look up and like, oh, you know.
Who's that?
Yeah, they're like, that sounds like a younger version of that person, and yeah, it's him, you know. But it's more fun to like play Where's Waldo when the camera peeks around the back to see who's there.
Yes.
You don't hear him talking or who's sitting, you know, so.
But,
You know, I'm really enjoying.
well, you know, we gotta be very
Right.
thankful that you're doing this, really. Otherwise, it would just, our history would go out the window, gone.
Yeah, I keep harping on it. Again, if you guys have anything, you took it, you know, on behalf, like you, Bob, when if you were at a meeting or you recorded something, because Dave wasn't there, or Phil wasn't there, you know, let me know. I'll make sure it gets saved, you know. I think we got most of it. You know, we probably got about 95% of it if we find that other box, but,
But that other box does exist, right?
supposedly, it's right next to the Ark, you know, but,
All right, well, thanks again,
You're
thank
welcome.
you. All right, is there any other new business? Any other new business? Anybody, new business? No? Okay, all right, Ham Shack Corner. We're winding up the season. But my favorite Ham Fest is tomorrow, and that's at Westwood High School in Bergen County. That's way up north, guys. It's way up north, Jersey. And it's Westwood High School. And it's usually a good one. I thought it was going to get washed out because of the impending weather, but apparently the weather's starting Saturday night. So it should make it.
Late in the afternoon is what they said.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I was gonna go to a car show tomorrow night, it looks like I'm can't.
Yeah. But, yeah, the Barra, Bergen County Amateur Radio, Club, they do, it's always Columbus Day weekend and in the Memorial Day weekend. So twice a year they have it. And it's a good show. You know, what can I say? I enjoy it. Yeah, so, all right, so hopefully, or I think, because by noontime it's over, you know, it starts at 8, so, okay. Did anybody go to Split Rock?
Yes.
Who's here? You did. How was it?
Small, but not like too small. I mean, it was worth it to go, you know, but I didn't buy much. Bought a couple things, but nice weather. It was good weather.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Prices were a little high on some stuff, but I got a neon sign transformer, and it's actually kind of interesting. I'll bring it to a show and tell sometime. It was a piece of equipment. It says calibrator on it, and I was hoping it was for meter calibrations and stuff. It's actually for load cells or whatever, calibrating, 10, I don't know what it is. Doesn't matter. It's made by BLH, which is Baldwin Lima Hamilton,
Huh.
which is the successor of Lima Locomotive Works, which I didn't know made test equipment, so that was kind of neat. So
Oh, okay.
it's
Yeah,
not
that,
made in Lima, but it's
I was going to say that, yeah.
Massachusetts
Yeah.
from that company.
Well, that's good. Yeah, bring it in for a show and tell, yeah. All right, so, all right, after a short intermission, sale of our 50/50 tickets, we will have a presentation by our very own Neville Granau. And he's got some things he calls tubes over here, so we're going to be very interesting to see this and hear it. All right, so I need help, 50/50s, Darren and Vice President Paul. I don't see there'll be big pots today, but, you know, we'll do it anyway. If you happen to notice the picture of Florence Clancer in the broadcast, they're having to do with last Saturday evening. She won the big pot, the 50/50 big pot. And it was funny, we were sitting at the same table, and she was at the end of the table, and she was there, especially for Ray, and I think she was mumbling, never again, never again, no, never again, never again, until she won that big pot. And big smile, and that's why you see that with a great big smile on her face. She was so happy to be there then, right? And then kindly, Harry and Florence, they returned the money to InfoH, and that was very kind of you. And it was what, how much?
138.
138, okay, all right, good.
They need the money.
True, we all need money.
They need the money, they need the people.
I think they need people more than money. Okay, here we go, 50/50, guys, come on. Pick a color, any color. Let's see, what's small? They look like the exact same size.
Whichever one comes out easier.
Whichever comes out first.
Yeah, it was different sharing.
You want to be tickets or cash tonight?
3 for 2. 3 for 2.
Strange. I was trying to get a fucking word strange. What the hell is strange? I wanted to know what they were, that's why I couldn't remember what it was.
Oh,
Are you still mayor of
Yes.
what town? Is it?
Rocky Hill,
Rocky, where is that?
almost a stone's throw from here, north of Princeton.
Like
Very
on
close.
1, if you're going up 1?
No, Route 206.
Oh,
Do you know where the
Weston.
Princeton Airport is?
Yes.
I can hear the Princeton Airport from my house.
Oh.
That's how close I am. Yeah, it's not too far from here.
Yeah, how long you been mayor?
Let's see, this is my 5th year.
No, how many terms?
Two. Yeah, so 4, and then another couple, so.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
good for you. You enjoy it, or is it,
Well, you know, it's a
you
tiny
get beat up?
town.
You get, what's the constituent, how many?
The population's only 800.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's tiny.
That is tiny.
Yes, it's, you know.
That's
so-
an interesting history. Why would have a municipality so small not having been gobbled up by?
Well, New Jersey has so many tiny, we're the 20th smallest.
Yeah,
So there's 20 smaller than that.
yeah. Oh, my goodness. There's 20 smaller than that.
Yes, yeah.
No, I live in a village that's small too, but not that
Yeah,
small.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
We've got a few thousand people.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I wanted to ask you.
Go ahead.
So, when you're, everybody in the club is repairing their own radios, everybody goes out and buys their own capacitors? I mean, the club doesn't have like a stash of capacitors that they would.
Well, it's a long involved story, but pretty much I supply it. So if you need caps, let me know.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking to myself, we're all buying the same stuff, and, you know,
Yeah.
there's a buy it in bulk, and then everybody
Yeah.
just get it from the club or something?
Yeah, well, I sell it by the bag.
Oh,
you know.
okay,
Have
okay.
you ever seen me with my, I'll bring it to the next repair clinic, you'll see.
Okay,
I've got like a tote that I bring with me.
okay, yeah, all right.
And it-
Bulk, selling bulk.
Yeah, that's what I wondered, yeah.
You must not be a real radio person. Radio people are cheap.
For the bird, cheap, cheap, cheap.
I haven't been here for so long, you know, you gotta pay up.
Oh, that feels good. Back to the usual radio collector.
Uh-oh. Oh, there's still cookies? Wow.
Is your mic on? Well, longest thing is.
You mean the house mic?
You were talking about the broadband presentation. No name.
45, yeah.
He had a 78 RPM record, a collectible one. He broke it in half.
At that.
I do.
Was another one, or was that? I didn't see that.
He gave a presentation there at Sarnoff, record players, 45s.
He broke 78, or he broke?
Broke a 78. Because they're brittle, you know. just
Yeah, of course.
Show how brittle they are.
I'm thinking I didn't see it.
And I looked at the title, and it was one that was not valuable,
Yeah.
but, you know, somebody would have liked it, like me.
So
Broke it in
did
half.
you look up the Declaration of Independence yet?
I've gone through it with a big magnifying
It's
glass.
there. It's there.
Under what name?
Really?
No, are you serious?
$20 says I'm serious.
You have a copy?
No, I have 20. I used to keep a copy in my valise when I traveled to work because people, you know, I would say things like that. Oh, you told us that.
And you will show them.
No, I would say $20 says I have my name on it.
And go find it.
Yeah, and here, I wouldn't believe it. So, oh, you scratched it. No, I didn't scratch it. Go find it on the internet. Ray Chase, not his last name. Paul Hart is on the Declaration of Independence. Hart and Chase is on it. Different names, though. Mine, my whole name. His not. There's no way his name is on it.
Especially with that mustache, there's no way.
Oh. But your name's not on the Declaration of Independence. No. But mine is. I was looking at them and I'm thinking, what the hell do I need them for? I've got my own stash.
The only ones are these, because this, every once in a while I get stuck for one of these. You know, the IEI or whatever they're
Yeah.
called.
But, of course, now, if you happen to find one with He's getting one. It's just a little off. That's
Ladies
the
and
hard.
gentlemen, if you have not yet bought your 50/50 ticket, please go to the podium and do so.
How worthless are 807s nowadays, eh?
You know what I was thinking? The wheels are always turning. We need to make an adapter and try to use them in place of a pair of 6L6s, because it's a souped up
Yeah.
6L6.
Which one is?
807. Even kind of looks
I mean, I sell them for $10 and, like once in a while.
oh, it failed the flap test. Flap tester.
I like how it has this warranty on it. It's like, take it back. I'm like, to who? There
Yeah.
isn't a brand anywhere on it.
Yeah, I think that was BS.
Well, it's like that, that young guy.
I should really get a pair of 866As.
Wait, so this is a 6L6?
Kinda,
So
ruggedized.
This would have been,
That's a plate cap. Yeah, the plate's coming out the top.
hey, this was made someplace that doesn't exist. Made in West Germany.
Really? Is that what it says? Oh. Probably worth picking up some of those.
For $2?
Yeah, for $2.
What do you use them for?
RF output mainly, and
ham.
some audio applications.
But it would be a transmitter.
Yes,
right?
yes, not a
Ham.
receiver.
807?
Not a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Viking
They're
2.
telling me some of the audiophiles are doing something with the 866.
They are.
Yeah, well, because they think they
Because
sound
they're
good.
nuts.
Yeah.
That's right.
They sound good. They sound good.
Well, the other side of it is they're cheap.
Well, they're
Yeah.
also
Well,
they're
sorry.
also pretty because they
Yeah.
glow and they like that glow.
Yeah, you're right.
And the
That's true.
807s are the same thing, they're cheap.
Yeah.
As you can see, he's selling them for $2.
Unavailable.
And available.
You see some mercury spattered on
Now you
those
see at
sides.
$10, so now you can't get in.
Those, you have to let the filament, you have to let the heat up before you slide by voltage, otherwise they can.
What, the 866s? Yeah, I had one guy who used to buy them. He had one of the first. Yeah, from 58. They had a pair of them in there.
Wow.
I think you put something in this. Very addictive, they're addictive.
Well, they're addictive.
That's what I meant, you put
Oh,
something
oh,
in.
yeah.
No, see if I can put in concert stuff.
Oh.
Pink Floyd concert.
That would be funny.
Yes. I need to go see her.
I
Doesn't
did
sound
see
like
that you
anything.
sent a bunch of links to
Keeps
your,
mentioning the QSTs.
for
I
your
told her.
photos. I know, I didn't say.
And then
I forgot.
I said, you know, what else? Well, that's about it. I said, well, every television we ever had is in the basement. I said, but there are tubes. Well, just in the television. I have to go see it. Well, yeah. He's very nice. Sort of damaged.
They were working on
I realized, I run out of patience. Not him, not him. I put up with him, but it's not a problem.
I already have two listed.
Hey, he could meet her. She sounds like a hot chick.
What is she about, 90?
No,
No.
I think she's about 60 something.
Oh, yeah,
Too old for you?
yeah, 4 days ago.
Well, I still don't see, I got rid of my mirrors,
You
so.
must have sent it by Pony Express. It just says 4 days ago.
Well, good.
Are you good or you need help with
That goes to the winner.
How much?
36.
To the winner?
You want it, or should I give it to the person?
No, give it a try.
And if you want to let everyone know, going forward, I spoke to Matt, and they can just email me if they need foods ahead of time for the meeting, I'll bring them to the meeting. For the two programs.
Before I got you up, you get up and say, give out the.
Well, Matt's putting it on the website. I'm sorry, what was it again? 37, I think, right, Paul? 36. 36. 71, so I gave that.
Yeah, 35 you said?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, you're right, I saw it too.
Yes, Bob.
They have that Christmas party every year? Do you know
Yeah,
when
every
it's
year,
going to be?
14th of December.
14th of
Saturday.
December. Okay, yeah, thanks.
Purported to send you that stuff.
All right, folks, all right, folks, all right, folks. I don't know, this thing doesn't get any, I gotta lean over into it? Nah, it ain't gonna happen. We have a nice pot this evening, $36 to the winner. So let's see, who, maybe we could have Pepe, maybe we could have Pepe put, Pepe, yeah, Pepe, I think so, yeah.
He has a conflict of interest,
Oh, I have a real treat for you if you get the right tickets.
Treats, Pastor, treats.
Watch out, he doesn't eat it.
Treats.
Huh? Which one? Which one? That one? That one you like? Okay,
Yeah, he liked that one.
okay, good.
I put meat juice on mine.
All right, folks. For the grand total of $36, the winner will get, with the number of 4719657. 657. 657.
471-9657.
What?
Right here?
Well, wait a minute. Florence won last week.
Oh, I forgot to tell you that.
Buffy's got the other half.
Really? 657, yes?
6571.
Okay.
657. Here, you check it out. Check it out.
Oh, I will. Yeah, yeah, it is. You got it.
Was that
Okay.
ticket dipped in like beef
Well,
broth?
The problem is I can't differentiate that money from this money. It's all gonna go to the club. Jeez. Oh, man.
You've got that much money.
Oh. Give me the money, man.
Or you could say your winnings were really good tonight.
I don't think that goes over real well.
Okay, all right. So our treasurer Harry has collected his money of $36. Thank you very much, sir.
And the club now has it.
And now he doesn't specify it, but the club, he has given the money to the club as a donation. A round of applause for Harry Clancer. The Clancers are very generous people, I tell you.
May you always win all the.
Okay. All right. Darren, come up and just make your notice.
supposed to be done in the green room.
Yeah.
All right, so I know over the years there's been a lot of back and forth and so on and so forth, but the club does still have a tube program, and we're trying to keep the tube program rolling. So going forward, at least at InfoAge and maybe some of the Princeton meetings, I'm going to try to bring a caddy with an assortment of random tubes that I think people may need. But if you need a tube, especially if it's a less than very common tube, any tube that you need, just email me ahead of the meeting, or you can text me if you have my number, and I will do my best, if we have it, to make sure that the tube, a good tube, is here for you at the next meeting or event where I'm going to be.
And please make it at least the day before.
At least an hour, right? At least an hour before, yeah.
Some lead time.
Yeah, yeah. And so when you need that unusual acorn tube for your military radio, 10 minutes just isn't enough time. So send me an email. I will, I could push my email out on the communicator. I won't call it, but yeah. Because if I do it here, you won't remember. So I'll just push it out there, and I'll also put a message out. But from this, tubes at NJARC.org. There you go. Matt will take care of all the computer stuff, and it'll get to me. So, and from there, hopefully we'll get more tubes circulating. So, okay.
All right, great. Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is our presentation this evening by our very own Neville Grinnell. He will be presenting the care and feeding of IMAX big babies. Now, what could he possibly mean by such a thing?
Or as Joe Crow used to say, antennas by iMac.
There you go. All right, is the projector on yet?
It's on.
No, it's not. It's blanked though. Okay, video mute. There we go. Okay. So, introductory slide, big babies. We're going to be talking about, well, guess what? Vacuum tubes. So, I get to make sure the mouse works here. Can we do this page down? All right. So, I got my license early 1970 or so, novice license. Got my advanced license a few years later. But, in that era, you built your own stuff. So here's an 807. I built my first transmitter with one of these. And no, Bob, I didn't steal yours.
That's all right.
And you get 50 watts out of one of these. But now I need a little help with an Aussie accent from Crocodile Dundee. But that's not a real power tube. So you might move up to, here's a 304TH. You can get 700-800 watts out of one of these, but just don't hold the key down too long. It might get a little red. But still, that's not a real power tube. So a little more modern, here's an 8877. That's a nice tube, good for kilowatt, nice solid kilowatt. But still, that's not a real power tube. Here's a 5,000 watt tube. That's a 4CX 5000. You can probably get 7 or 8 kilowatts out of that. As long as you can heat the heater, which is 5 volts at 75 amperes. If you're British, you wouldn't have anything left over because they had to include the heater power in their license rating. But, oops, I got ahead here. There we go. Now there's a real power tube. This is the back cover of QST magazine from December 1971. I remember getting this issue in the mail, very nice. And I remember ogling over this tube saying, wow, that's a really serious tube. Little did I know that after graduating from college about 5-6 years later, I would be hired by the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory as part of a team to build a pair of megawatt transmitters with that very tube in it. So that was quite an experience. So 1971 or thereabouts was the first release of that, they call it an X2159. It later got an official number, 8974. There was a slightly earlier version that was good for a 0.5 megawatt plate dissipation. But there was competition from Thomas, a TH525. You could get 1.5 megawatts out of that one. Along about 1980, IMAC did them one better with a somewhat experimental tube, an X2242. That one didn't last very long. They were still trying to work out the cuts in the anode and the grid. Thales came back with a TH526 at about 2 megawatts of RF. And of course, IMAX had to top everybody with their 4CM 2500 kg, which can dissipate 2.5 megawatts and good for at least 3 megawatts plus of RF. And that's the current tube, the biggest tube you can commercially buy in the world. So how do you run one of these things? Well, it's water cooled. You need 200 to 300 gallons per minute of water flow to keep the darn thing cool. You got to put some anode voltage on it, about 27,000 volts, and it'll pull up to about 150 amperes if you really drive it pretty good and hard. To heat the filament, you need about 15 volts at 600 amperes. Wow. And you got to put about 1,200 volts on the screen. So this is serious stuff. So we'll take a little side trip here to the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory. And what the hell is a plasma anyway? Well, the mission of the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory is to recreate the fusion energy process of the sun, ideally fusing a pair of hydrogens into a helium and releasing a whole bunch of energy, capturing that as heat, and using it to run a standard steam generator power plant. Many folks consider a plasma as a fourth state of matter. It's so hot that it's no longer a solid, a liquid, or a gas, or even the nuclei and the electrons aren't even interested in each other. It's so hot. But fusion is the process of joining a pair of hydrogen atoms into a helium and acquiring the energy from the forces that get released. So I'm not going to try to follow that. That's well beyond any physics I understand. But the sun can basically take 4 hydrogens, turn it into a helium, a pair of hydrogens again, and some excess stuff, and an awful lot of X-rays and gamma rays and a couple of protons, which are at that point photons, which is what we can feel from 93 million miles away on our faces, which is impressive as hell. So the sun has a lot of gravity. It's a gravitational monopole. We cannot do that here on Earth, but we can find shapes that might work. So we can, though, get enough energy going to fuse some of the simpler parts of the fusion chain, and one of those is deuterium, which is hydrogen with an extra neutron in it, and tritium, which is a hydrogen nuclei with 2 extra neutrons in it. The result is a helium and 1 X-ray coming out at a pretty high energy, which we would then capture in some kind of a heat blanket and run a standard steam generator. So to do this, we have to hold this plasma in a shape, and that's done with large coils wrapped around a donut-shaped vacuum vessel, and they're wrapped around in both the horizontal and the vertical axes. And I will have a picture here, possibly, in the next slide. That round little circle you see there is part of the top of the donut of the vacuum vessel, and those red circular pieces you see are some of the what we call the toroidal field coils. Those are what try to hold a plasma into a circular shape inside the vacuum vessel. What you cannot see is some extra coils wrapped horizontally which hold the plasma from getting too far up or too far down or putting it wherever they want. Now the interesting stuff to me is on the right-hand side. That coppery looking stuff is RF transmission line, 6-inch diameter. That's not RG8. This is 3.
What is the dimension? What are we looking at?
Okay, what you're looking at, it's a 20-foot ceiling. This is a large item. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's probably, the vacuum vessel is about 12 to 15 foot in diameter. It's very hard to get a picture of, as you can see, with all the equipment that's stashed around it. So I had to settle for that one. So to get a plasma really, really hot, you've got three methods, one of which they call ohmic heating, which I didn't describe here. It's basically a shorted transformer. When you get a plasma started, it's a conductor. If you dump some magnetic fields into it and keep increasing them, just like a transformer, it'll get hot. But you can't get very far with that. You can't get far enough anywhere near fusion. So we have to add some more energy. One of those is called neutral beams, which is basically high energy neutrons blasted in from the side. From that previous picture, that was the two large items at the top of the picture. If I had do we have a laser pointer here? If we go back one slide, those two railing looking things are the top ends of the neutral beam injectors.
You have an old-fashioned.
An old-fashioned pointer? All right, we'll try an old-fashioned pointer here. So these two things up here are neutral beam injectors. They're about 12 foot tall and run from 100 kilovolts or more. This is serious stuff, and these are the RF transmission lines which we use to continue heating a plasma. So to heat a plasma, we talked about high energy particles, but you can also use radio frequency. And what this does, remember we talked about the electrons and the ions not even being interested in each other. However, we've got big magnetic fields and ions are charged. So they want to spin around the magnetic field lines. And if you do this all right, you can get RF to make interesting things to help plasmas start the fusion operation in actually very small amounts, but we can see them. So how do you generate a couple of megawatts of RF? Well, that last slide, the previous slide I showed this very tube. This is this 4CM 2500 kg, the largest commercial vacuum tube that can be had. Costs a little bit of money, about $400,000, weighs 270 pounds, and you got to wait about a year when you decide to order one. So let's build a transmitter. Hey Bob, here's your tube box, right? Comes in a plywood crate. That's about 3 foot square and 4 foot tall. So now you need to drive this thing. These tubes run with in a grounded grid configuration. So you can imagine you got to hold this thing up at 300 pounds plus whatever you're going to put on top. So you have a cavity underneath in which you bring in some drive power. And the connection to this tube, which I can show an approximation of here from one of its smaller brothers, are rings. They're designed to take finger stock from transmission lines. And you can kind of see that. You can kind of see those connections here. This outer one is the screen grid. The next one in is the control grid. And then the next two after that are the heater and the filament connection and the cathode. And underneath this table is a resonant transmission line to feed the tube cathode, which takes actually about 3 ohms. It's a little far off from our normal 50 in our ham rigs. So now, here's the base of that tube. These are the rings again. So we've got, if you flip it upside down, that's the screen grid, control grid, cathode, and heater. The heater here. It's hard to see in this picture, but this is about a 1-inch diameter copper bar with a screw thread on the end that fits onto these. That's the 600 amp heater conductor. So now you're going to plunk that tube in this socket that you've made. This is the table you've built to insert this tube in. I had to put this picture in. This is Gary D'Amico. It's Gary D'Amico, and this happens to be a different tube and a different transmitter, but I had to include that picture. So now we're going to start the pi network, standard pi network, except we build it with transmission lines instead of L's and C's. So this ring around here is the plate tuning capacitor. And it's tuned by raising and lowering this plate with respect to the base, which is ground. Change the distance of plates of a capacitor, you get a variable capacity. So now we're going to build the rest of that structure for the anode. I apologize, I say anode, I say plate. They're the same thing. I worked on a couple of European transmitters, and everything there is an anode and not a plate. I apologize. So this is a coaxial structure, consists of an inner conductor and an outer conductor, and it happens to be 50 ohms. Here's the plate blocking capacitor. Everybody knows about those from their amateur amplifiers. And this sleeve here is the capacitor for the output. This is the loading capacitor. We move it up and down to change the length of the inductor, which is made from the 50 ohm transmission line. And that's how you tune one of these things. The plate anode load resistance for an amplifier of this size is only about 70 ohms. It's not the thousands of ohms that we see in our ham rigs. So now we're going to carefully lower that anode shell over the top of the tube. And we're going to connect up this 300 gallons a minute of water and some hose work, pipe work.
Would you have a chain fall above it?
Oh yeah, this is all done on a crane. It's so damn heavy. And here's looking down inside that cavity, that outer shell again, the inner conductor, a lifting rig, and the water piping. And if you climb to the top of that cavity and look down, that's what you'll see. Now this whole thing is about 12 foot tall, so bring safety gear. So there it is, we've got it all put together. We've got the table that's sitting on with the cathode assembly. We've got that anode tuned circuit with the C and the L and the C. And then we've got blowers to keep everything cool. Then we've got the water feed, which comes in here. We've got the high voltage connected up, which comes in there. And then we've got an adapter up to 9-inch coax. Once again, it's not RG58. So now you got to come up with cough up a driver amplifier. Well, this is a commercial one. This is built by Continental Electronics and puts out 100 kilowatts. That's what you need to drive one of these things in the grounded grid configuration. Need a few meters? You can meter just about, you can see anything that's going on in that transmitter on that collection of meters. All the filaments, all the screen grids, all the control grids, it's all there. So now we need some water cooling. Oh, here's a couple of pumps. I believe those are, oh gee, some ungodly amount of horsepower pumps to do this couple 100 gallons a minute worth of water. And we've got to get some high voltage to this thing. Well, here's the input switch from the incoming prime power. In this case, it's 4.7 kilovolts of AC, and that feeds a transformer rectifier here. This thing's about, oh, I don't know, 15 foot tall, and that issues up to 27 kilovolts at about up to 150 amps that we need to run one of these things. That's nice to have a dummy load. Well, this one is for a 9-inch coax in, and it's done by basically parts of washing detergent, sodium carbonate. Makes a rather nice load. It's conductive, and you can circulate it, and you can take the heat out, and that's what this part is for. So RF comes in here, and the soda solution goes down to the end, at which point there's no RF, and out it comes. And then it cooled and circulated back through by pumps underneath there. So, as far as heating our experimental equipment, which is called the National Spherical tokamak experiment, or NSTX. We have 6 of these transmitters. We built 2 of them in the 1970s and then acquired 4 more as from a shutdown project that the Department of Energy was doing for figuring out how to do the first wall of this vacuum chamber with an incredible amount of neutrons coming through it. As usual, it's half built and then they cancel the project. So now they're sitting around with 17 transmitters, not knowing what to do with them. Well, we have 4, MIT has 2, a couple out in Texas, there's a few of them out in California. They're still in use now, 40 years later. But anyway, we use these transmitters. We take 6 transmitters and feed them into 12 antennas inside the vacuum vessel that I've mentioned. And I did mention the fact that the RF at these frequencies, which is 30 megahertz, heats ions circulating around magnetic field lines in shells. That lets the physicists put the heat where they want it. And that's the fun thing about using radio frequencies for heating plasmas. Well, you also got to have a matching network. Here's our transmatch. There's 6 of them here. In our amateur circles, we do this with L's and C's, adjustable inductors, adjustable capacitors. But at this kind of power level, you need to do it with something that's more robust. So we do it with transmission lines. A shunt C is almost the same as a shorted transmission line to ground. And a series L is the same as a series transmission line. But the only difference is that evil thing called a Smith chart. The transmission line forms a perfect circle around the center of the Smith chart. And you can take any impedance and start to rotate it. The magic point you want to get to is another magic circle on a Smith chart. It's called the unit conductance circle, which is 50 ohms plus or minus J anything. And once you hit that line with a series transmission line, you can bring that into the center with a shunt transmission line. And that's what we're doing with these networks. So these stand between the transmitter and the coils and the antennas in the vacuum vessel. Everybody remember that screensaver, Windows pipes? Well, here it is for real. This is part of the splitter network. And I don't have a photo of the antennas in the vacuum vessel because it's very hard to see. This is actually the antenna from another fusion research installation at General Atomics in California. Here you can see how it's done. It's a vertical strap. In this case, there's 4 of them. And for a plasma, the electric fields do bad things. So you put a Faraday cage across it. That's these horizontal bars to remove the electric field and just leave the magnetic field coming out of this antenna in a circular pattern, like so. Well, things do go wrong. So let's, nothing lasts forever. Let's cut open one of these tubes and see what's inside. So this is an outer water jacket with its connections on the top for the incoming and outgoing water. The water, I believe, flows down, and when this is on top of the tube, it flows down over the outside and then up between this shell and the copper of the anode, which is grooved to let the water through. If you take that off, you take that top guide off, this is what you see. This is the guide shell for the water, down the outside, up the inside. This is the copper of the anode plate. It's all black because it's water and loves to corrode. If you take that off, now we're looking at the screen grid. And inside the screen grid is the control grid, and inside that is the filament. And this is a new piece of magic. These are made of graphite. Remember the old, 811's got a graphite anode, I think, or is it 813's got a graphite anode? One of those old World War tubes has a graphite anode. So the nice thing about graphite is you can smack it with an electron and it doesn't cause any secondary emission. You don't get more electrons bouncing off of it. So what they do is they grow a copper shell on a mandrel, and they grow them for the screen grid, the control grid, and they put it all together, and then with a high-powered laser, they cut those slots. And the nice part about that is you get your holes perfectly aligned so that you don't get much screen interception from the electron flow coming past the control grid. Here's what the inside of the anode looks like. This white stuff is the ceramic seal, which you might have remembered seeing the lower part of that tube. This is copper anode, so this part is all inside the white ceramic. It's all vacuum. And this is the inside of the tube. It's grooved to try to, once again, keep electrons from bouncing completely back to the screen grid. Well, you know, when things fail, maybe you can fix your own vacuum tubes. Maybe we can put this one back together, you know? What does it say? 14 cents will deliver you by freight a nice jar of high vacuum. You know, you can pour it into your vacuum tubes and maybe get them to work again. Hard vacuum. Hard vacuum, there you go. So there we go. That's all. So that's my career in about 10 minutes.
You talked about tuning the tube.
Yes.
How do you tune the tube?
Okay. Let me back up to that slide. Get my finger in the right place here. There. This part moves. So if I make, it goes up and down, making the series transmission line, which is this, longer and shorter. That's variable L. And if you're working a fixed frequency, you kind of know where you want to be. This is not a widely tunable amplifier. You can mess around with L, just L, with fixed capacitors. And we can also move the plate tuning capacitor, which is the one against the tube. You can find a solution. And my boss set 3 of us on the mission to find the solution for the position and the sizes of these things. One gentleman did it with the iMac calculator. Another gentleman did it with a specially written program that he did in Excel. And I did it with the SPICE circuit analyzer. We all came out within a few inches of each other, and it actually worked. You know, there's slight errors involved, but
Then once
it
it's
worked.
fixed, that's it.
We don't need to retune it because we're running at 30 megahertz. In this era when we started, it was a short dot. Now we're up to a long dash, couple seconds long of RF into a plasma, hopefully going to 5 seconds. So that's the RF program at Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory and where it's headed and what we're going to do with it.
So I'm curious. Your results came out within a few inches, but what's the sort of the frequency difference between having it at the top and the bottom of
How far you can tune it? I think we could go from about 27 to about 32 megahertz, something like that.
Because you want to be able to use it on CD.
Yeah, there you go, right. Yeah, we can probably reach 10 meters too with it, you know. We could do that.
Ned, seriously, the Continental, was that just like a broadcast transmitter that you guys repurposed? I mean, what is that thing for?
All right, I'll try to tell the story. The Department of Energy was trying to take the next step to find out what to make the walls of the fusion reactor vessel out of. Presently, we use stainless steel because it's cheap, it's easily formed, and it doesn't have any particularly long-lived isotopes from being bombarded by a lot of neutrons. That's not the final solution. They got to do something else that can let these neutrons through, not get activated, and they commissioned a study around 1980 to try to do research by bombarding materials with high-energy RF. That was thought to be a similar situation, that they could get similar fluxes of neutrons with RF. They built 17 600 kilowatt CW transmitters for this, Continental, and they contracted Continental Electronics to do this. And the frequency was, I'm not exactly certain what the frequency was, although they ended up being somewhat tunable. When the program got canceled, as they often do, these things came up surplus for grabs, and they were donated to the fusion program of Princeton, University of Texas, General Atomics in California, Massachusetts Institute of Technology for their experiment, and there was 1 or 2 left over somewhere in a warehouse. So they're still around. You know, we never throw anything away, especially if you work for the government. You got to use it till it dissolves into the dust.
Are those exciter transmitters solid state?
No, not in that era. Today we could probably do it.
Yeah, I know they're getting.
Yeah, you can get 100 kilowatts out of a matrix of.
Those are tube.
Yeah, these are tube bases. The driver has a 4CW100,000 tube in it, which is quite popular. Everybody has been using that tube for ages. You know, you remember Radio Moscow? You know, you could get on the 7 megahertz Radio Moscow. It was about 50 kilohertz wide. We didn't know how they did that. The scuttlebutt is when it was found out and disseminated, they had a bunch of 100 kilowatt tubes modulated with the audio, but very carefully phased to eliminate the 5 kilohertz whistle. So they had this huge broad signal you couldn't miss, but they did it with 100 kilowatt tubes, not anything like what iMac builds these days. Anybody else? Any other questions? Yeah, there you go.
They're $400,000 a piece.
Yeah.
Weren't they repairable for that type of money?
Somewhat. You can trade in an anode and ceramic and filament stem structure and get them to rebuild the grids. You save a little money, you know, maybe it's $250K. The deal really isn't the parts in it, it's all the processing steps, because this kind of a tube has to be made, put in an oven, pull a vacuum, heat the hell out of it, and that just gets it started. Then they put it in a transmitter, and they call it debarnacling. You know, boats collect those little organic things. Well, you get little things on the copper and all the filament structure and everything else. You got to get that cleaned off. So they put it in a huge transmitter and bake the hell out of it and blast it with, make it produce full RF output and keep going and going until they get it up to ratings. And they say it's pretty brutal, at least even sounding brutal in the process.
Is that you tearing that one apart in the pictures?
We did take one apart, yes. Yeah, we did grind one open, yes.
But that was fun.
Yeah.
What's the lifespan?
We get about 3,000 hours out of one.
Not that much.
Well, here's this story. That filament, which you won't see in this tube, that filament is a mesh to get this in. That tube, if you short the grid to the cathode, you'll get 500 amperes worth of electron current. It's huge. And even to get good RF out of it, you still have to, even then, you have to drive the grid positive. But what will happen is one of those little filament wires may break, spring outwards, and short to the control grid. At that point, there's not a lot you can do. I'll mention a little bit here about the protection of these tubes. You know, our amateur transmitters probably have an overload relay in it, hooked up in the plate circuit, so the plate current gets a little out of control. Yeah, all right, you turn off the plate supply. This thing, the test, the challenge is you've got to get the energy off that tube. You've got that monster yard-mounted power supply because it can put out thousands of amperes. You've got to deal with that. So there's a device similar to the Thyrotron that you had out there in the bats. It's called an ignitron or an ignitron, depending upon who you work for. It is a mercury-filled tube which acts very much like an SCR. If you bash the igniter with enough current, 10s, 20 amps, it will cause conduction of a mercury vapor inside the tube, and it can take that hundreds, thousands of amperes and you use that to short out your power supply and also turn off the power supply at the same time. The challenge that IMAX says is to short out your power supply through a piece of 30-gauge wire. No. Yes. If that wire survives, your crowbar worked. They call it a crowbar, all right? And you're adequately protected your tube. If it doesn't survive, you're faced with an ear-shattering bang. Don't ask me how I know this. So that's about all I got.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who's up behind there?
How big are the ignitrons that they use for that?
Ours are only about 3 or 4 inches in diameter, that tall.
I remember.
7703 is one of them.
I remember them being used, some similar ones being used in welding equipment.
Yeah, it's a very similar tube, yeah. A little faster, they set them up for high speed for this, because you got to do all this in about 10 microseconds. There we go, another question.
Yeah, how far away is that from the Dow Jones plant where I worked while you guys were doing all this stuff?
All right, I'll reveal this story. Everybody knows Sarnoff Laboratories down the street from us on Route 1. And this is apocryphal, I'll admit, it's just a theory. Many years ago, they had a conference going, and I know the gentleman who ran the audio-visual equipment for that conference, Gary Katona, and they had been trying to get a better system for years. It was an RF system, runs at 40 megahertz or somewhere around there. And we were just commissioning one of those transmitters. At that time, it was at 42 megahertz. And we had a dummy load on the far end, and we were pulsing away, and something went wrong. The tube started to oscillate. I was looking over the shoulder of the operator and noticed the plate current wasn't going to 0. I told him, turn it off, turn it off. Well, I heard from my friend, hey, we had this strange trouble with our PA system, but all of a sudden it blanked out and started making a racket, and the president comes around and says, what do you need to fix this damn thing? They got a new system right away. Apocryphal story, can't vouch for it, but that's the
How, you come to work in the morning, you flip the switch, turn it on, or it was on all the time?
For our experiments, the days that RF plays a part into the physics, we'll come in, we'll start the water pumps. Yeah. You get the water flowing, you get then you would turn on the filaments. These things take 10 or 15 minutes to come up to temperature, where after all, we're talking about 16 volts and 600 amperes. Yeah. And at this time, you've got the air blowing on the tube, you got the water, you got the filament, and then you can go ahead and apply plate voltage, anode voltage, when the physicists are interested in actually putting an RF pulse into the NSTX experiment. I forgot to say this. The NSTX is not a continuous machine. It's pulsed. A pulse lasts for 3 to 5 seconds, done every 20 minutes or thereabouts. And meanwhile, physicists scratch their heads over the results of what they got on their measurements. And while we're cooling down the tubes and everything is back ready for another shot. But anyway, once you get the plate voltage on, now things are getting ready to run a shot, you turn on the screen voltage. Because the tube won't conduct anything without any screen voltage. And then when the request for RF comes, which is partway through the fusion experimental shot, we apply RF to the whole chain, which is the linear amplifier and drives the grid, drives the cathode, we get RF output. There's a regulator. It's the RF output power is regulated to amplitude and regulated to phase, so these folks can put the RF exactly where they want it in the plasma. So hopefully that answers your question.
Okay. But, and how many, this is a regular work day? Are we talking 8 hours or? Yeah,
it's over. We generally run an 8-hour shift, and we may get 30 pulses into that 8-hour shift or thereabouts of the NSTX machine.
So
but
is the 3,000-hour life the pulse part?
It's the filament life.
Oh.
As I mentioned before, the filament strands sometimes they break, and if they touch the grid, you're done.
So 3,000 hours, it's $130-some an hour to run one.
About that, yeah,
So
right.
Do you have a bunch of them lined up? Because you said it takes a year to get them.
Yeah, we have a couple spares, but not very many, yeah. Now, prying $400,000 out of the administration of the laboratory to buy a spare is sometimes just a little difficult. Okay.
Now, when you say shot, that's when the actual fusion thing is happening?
Yes, yes, yes. The magnetic fields are up, the vacuum's good. They throw some hydrogen into the vacuum vessel, and they throw in some deuterium, and they throw in a little, sometimes they throw in some tritium.
So
But
for a few seconds,
a couple
you
of
get
seconds.
energy that you put in.
We were able to do that, cheating slightly, because we don't talk about the currents and the power that would be used because we don't have superconducting coils. We have only copper coils and they get hot. That was done 20 years ago, 1993, with the tokamak fusion test reactor. We achieved 10.5 megawatts of actual, what could be electrical energy. It was just heat to us. Anybody else?
Where is?
We milk the crowd here.
Where is this located?
This is located at the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory, which is on Route 1.
Oh, on Route 1. Oh,
Right
it's not
over,
on-
just a mile from here, you know? You
it's
just
not
go.
on campus. It's-
No, it's not on campus. We've had a separate facility since 1960.
On Route 1. Where-
On Route 1,
north?
yeah, just north of the Sarnoff Laboratory. And Harrison in the circle, the Washington Road Circle, just about a mile north of there. Occasionally we run tours, often in June. Not sure when the next one will be, but you know, if the word gets out that the laboratory is running tours, please come by. I'll be glad to show you a transmitter.
What, is there can you see the plasma? Is there like a window or something where you see?
That's an interesting point. A plasma is so hot that what it radiates is not visible light. It's X-rays.
So probably not.
If you see visible light, that's because some of it got cold, ran into the wall of the vacuum vessel, and caused what they call a disruption, which is everything goes poof. And you end up with, oh, well, that didn't work.
And if you see the plasma, I guess you're dead.
Yeah, there's nobody around this thing when it runs. There's 3-foot thick concrete, boron-loaded concrete block walls around this thing to make sure that nothing gets anywhere near a human when it's running. You're right. Oh, we got one in the back.
So number one, the cooling of these tubes.
Yes.
Is this simply by circulating water into some sort of a cooling vessel, or is there
That's correct.
refrigeration involved of the water?
The amount of heat loading is so short, it's only a couple of seconds, that you don't really need a lot of, you just got to get the heat out of the tube. It's a small item in terms of 6,000 gallon water tank that we have that's on the other end of this thing.
So there's enough thermal mass.
Absolutely, that's right, yeah.
So, and the other question I have is, you mentioned that the primary failure on them is the heater
Yes.
failure.
Yes.
Shorts to the grid.
Yeah, that happens.
And obviously, there's no chance of burning that out to save a tube.
Not that we've been able to successfully do.
I guess it's been tried.
Yes, it has. Yes, we've tried. Sometimes you get a screen grid to control grid short in these things. One of the other things that happens is at low currents, it just so happens that this thing is a circular resonator. And you can get a microwave oscillation going inside this, going around the tube this way. And that causes uneven heating of the elements and can cause damage. So we actually glue ferrites to the base of the tube to try to absorb that energy and stop that kind of oscillation.
Have you ever had a spectacular failure?
Well, what will happen is this, you'll be running along, you'll be sitting around waiting for something to happen, the crowbar goes off. Say, oh shit, now we got to reset the system. All right, you reset the system, get the high voltage back on, and 2 minutes later, crowbar goes off again. And then you may be able to get the thing back on, and then you start a pulse and the crowbar goes off. Then you try to restart the high voltage and the crowbar goes off immediately. At that point, we've discovered, oh, we just killed another tube. Luckily, this only happens a couple times a decade.
Well,
All right.
what about the big picture?
The big picture,
which is.
when I was hired on, where are we going? That's right.
How far have we gone?
Okay.
And where are we going?
Where are we going? It all depends on money. Takes a lot of money to do this kind of stuff, to build the next big fusion experiment, which right now is in two places. There's one in Cadarache, France, called ITER, International Thermonuclear something reactor. And there's a very highly experimental thing called Wendelstein 7X in Germany, which is taking advantage of a very special shape of plasma. And then we have the National Spherical Torus experiment, which is more generic. And even more generic from that is the General Atomics D3D experiment in California, which I've visited out there and helped with our RF program. So there's a bunch of approaches here. When I hired on with the laboratory in mid-1976 or so, actually April Fool's Day, 1976, that was a good day to start. They said, well, we think it's going to take about 30 years to solve all the problems. Well, I spent my career there for now close to 50 years, and they're still saying, well, we think it's going to take, never mind.
Someday it's going to be.
Someday it may happen.
Ahead of schedule.
Someday. We hope it works because, well, you look at it. You can't burn up all the coal and all the oil that you could find. We'd be back to a 30% carbon dioxide atmosphere that we once had, all right? Can't do that. Fusion energy works. If you're careful, you can make it work long term. It's a good solution as long as we take care not to let it out in places where it shouldn't be or have it get, then we won't go into the Ukraine war and what could happen there.
You mean
Fission? Fission, yes, right. There's plenty of uranium and such to keep that going for quite a while. If we can make fusion work, they say the top 1 inch of the ocean has enough deuterium in it to last for thousands and thousands of years. So hopefully it's what'll do us out into the future. Yes, sir?
Yeah, Neville, do you have a tube tester for that? There's a Hickok product
John.
I just wanted to say, it was thanks to you that years ago I did go on the tour. It's
Cool.
really terrific, so if you ever get an opportunity, yeah.
All right, yeah.
Was Neville a tour guide?
I don't remember seeing you that day, but you told me about it.
Yeah, if you are, the RF isn't all that popular with the lab, you know, it's kind of one of those things off to the side. And we weren't on the main tour part, but we put up some signs and guided some people and come on up and see our transmitter. Yeah. But it is fun. If you get a chance to come out for a tour, by all means do it.
Well, if you hear they're doing a tour, put it on the communicator.
That's a great idea.
It's June, you say? Usually
Often
June?
in the summer, right,
Okay.
yes.
I remember it was hot that day.
Yeah, it was, yes. I don't know if folks remember it, but I had built a theremin and brought it to one of our meetings. Well, I had that there, and kids just loved it. They were doing squealies all afternoon. So, yeah, it's a fun thing to come see. So, that's my career in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Give Richard back the microphone.
Turn off the projector.
All right, needless to say, I'm blown away. I was an electrician for 41 years, and nothing like that. But, he had electricians there, I'll tell you that.
Oh, you bet. Well, that big transformer rectifier system?
Oh, yeah.
You gotta be very careful with that stuff. We got 12-foot or 10-foot long safety grounding poles and
Oh, yeah.
class 2 safety gloves.
Yeah.
And all that.
And flash suits.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Okay. All right, our next meeting is here, and it will be, I believe on the 12th. Let me look it up again. And it will be Mike Molnar. Mike couldn't make it tonight, thank goodness for Neville to fill in for Mr. October, because Mike is up at AWA giving a presentation, and that presentation will come down to us then too. So, safe home, and thanks for coming. And Again, we'll see you, our experts and our clients, on the 25th of October for our fall repair clinic, 9032A. Okay, guys? Thanks for coming.
So if anybody wants to come up and ogle at some of these tubes, what we're looking at here, this is a cut open 1 megawatt tube. So what you're seeing is where the